So, hello and welcome to the web integration of the Razorpay payment gateway. So, we'll be doing all the steps in Node.js, and the template that we'll be making will be in EJS, not in HTML. So, you don't need to have any experience in EJS because we are only going to use that one aspect, and that is using the variable that we'll be sending through the backend from the backend to the front end, and we'll be using that only. For that purpose only, we are using EJS. Otherwise we would have done it in the HTML. Okay, so first of all, let's make an entry point, app.js, and open the terminal. It's taking a little bit of time. So here we got the terminal, and let's just npm init. And actually, you don't have to put anything into it, just change the name, because the name is currently Razorpay because I have named the folder as Razorpay. But if you name this Razorpay, the project, the package name, then you will be having trouble while installing the npm package of Razorpay. So name it any other thing, like payment, version, description, just press enter. Entry point app.js, get repository, keywords, author, you can put your name. Okay, so here we have done npm init. We have got the package.json file, and in this we will be storing all the dev dependencies and all the scripts, the metadata and all in the JSON format in the package.json file. So now we'll be installing the required npm packages, the most important one being express, the .env, because we'll be writing the key id key secret in the .env files, because we don't want any other person to uh, look into the code and find out the key id and key secret. Those are the things that you need to uh, write in a file that doesn't need to be displayed in the code. Like if you have used the MongoDB Atlas, you know that the secret URL, which contains your password as well to the DB. So these are some things that you don't need to display in the code. So all those stuffs you need to store it in the .env file, and those environment variables can be used in the code itself. So express.env, for the cross origin resource sharing, we'll be installing course, the body parser, Razorpay, and the crypto for encoding our data that will be sending in the payment flow. So that are total 1 2 3 4 5 6 packages. We're installing this 6 packages. It's gonna take some time. Till then, let's head towards the Razorpay site and gather the key ID and key secret. So this is the URL. Click on it, login. Because I already have an account in Razorpay, so I'm clicking on login, but you would have to sign up first. After you have signed up, you will get the email, your password, you log in with the credentials, and you will be seeing the Razorpay dashboard right here. So for generating a key ID and key secret for the first time, you need to click on the settings, and here click on the API keys. Because I have already generated a key once, so I'm not getting the option of generate test key. And here it is written test key because currently this is running on the test mode. To activate this and to set it on the live mode, I need to activate my account. So this is for the demo purpose only, so I'm running it on the test mode. So because I've already generated a test key before this, so I'm not getting this option. I'm getting option of regenerating, so I will click that. I'm deactivating the old key immediately, and here I get all the details I need, that is the key ID and key secret. So I'll be creating a .env file right now to store these details. .env. There's a typo. Yes, that's good. So I've created a .env. Let's enter the key ID first. And the next is key secret. With that done, let's head back to the app.js and do the basic stuff, that is requiring packages. So first let's require the express package. Let express the .env configuration, because we are using the .env file. So in order to use it, you need to install the npm package and require it in the app.js, the entry point. .env. Okay, that done. Cross origin resource sharing. You can skip this part, or speed up a bit at 1.5x or any speed you want. Of course, what else? Body parser, yeah. Body parser. Here's a typo. Crypto. Wait a minute. Dependencies, body parser, course, crypto.env, express, and razorpay. Okay, next is crypto. Okay. The next thing I will be doing is explaining you the payment flow, so that we can make a smooth transition between the front end and the back end, and to avoid confusion at most we can. So crypto, yeah. Sorry for that, I don't know why this is happening. I'm clicking the codes button, but it is not giving me that. Okay, so we have required the crypto. All the packages have been required. So now let's head back towards the image part. I just downloaded the payment flow image, and here it is. Okay, so here we have the image of the payment flow. So as a client, first you will get the front end template at your screen, and the details that we need to pass into the Razorpay payment gateway through the API is the amount and various other details like your name or something. But the amount is the most important thing, because you need to instantiate an order, and you need the perfect amount. And while doing it in the INR currency, the default system of Razorpay is taking the amount in passes, not in rupees. So whatever rupees you want, you have to multiply the number into 100 and then put the amount. So for 10 rupees you need to put 1000, and that's the process it can. The customer proceeds to pay right here through the backend API. It fires order API. We are creating an order right here. So when the order is created by the Razorpay, it returns an order ID. So what we are going to do, we are going to capture this order ID and store it in a input field, and then we are going to make a checkout form out of this. We will put the details like order ID, the amount, the Razorpay key, and with all this we are creating a checkout form, and we are submitting that checkout form back to the Razorpay, and this will be also done with the API itself. So with that done, the the payment is verified, and it returns a set of credentials that will contain Razorpay payment ID, Razorpay order ID, and Razorpay signature. At the end, what we will be doing is will be comparing the Razorpay signature and the expected signature. If both the signatures are the same, then we could say that the payment is captured and we have created a successful transaction. So this is the basic payment flow that we'll be following. So Instead of now backend, let's start doing the front end part first, because that will be easy to understand. Okay, so we'll be creating a views folder here, and inside this view folder we'll be creating payment.ejs, a payment.ejs. EJS is basically just HTML only, but you can also embed JavaScript in it, and I prefer EJS more. Hello. So while doing the coding itself, the video length became quite large. So to reduce the amount, to reduce the length, I've written all the code here, and I'll be explaining the code to you. So the first thing we will be putting is the label, that is the amount. And remember, the amount you will put here will be in passes. So whatever rupees you want, multiply it by 100 and then put in the actual value right here. And right here is the input field. We'll be giving it an ID, order amount, so that later on we can refer to it and fetch the order amount from right here. Giving it a little space, and this is the button that will be embedding a event listener to it, so that we can create an order and receive the order ID from the Razorpay server. So we have given it a special ID, order button 1, and we have written a script here that we have added an event listener. Whenever we click on this button, this function will be fired, which is having an event in the parameter. It will be creating a post request to this URL, which will instantiate an order and collect the order ID from the Razorpay server. So what details we'll be sending are the amount, currency, receipt, and the payment capture. The payment capture is actually the method of the payment capture. It can be either 0 or 1. 1 stands for the automatic payment capture and 0 for the manual. So here we are by default using the automatic payment capture method. The currency is INR, and the receipt is anything unique string that you can put in here. Here I have put in WTH coding 001. It's up to you. You can put it whatever you want. So with that done, we have collected the amount from the input field, which we have given the ID of order amount 1. And now we are creating a new XML HTTP request. So what this will do, it will receive the response from the backend and update the DOM without actually re-rendering the page. So with that done, whenever we will be getting the response from the backend, like whenever we receive the order ID from the server, there will be a state change, and this XML HTTP request will listen for it, and whenever there is a state change, it will fire up this function. When the ready state is equal to 4, this actually means that we actually got a response successfully. We'll be executing this block statement, which will be getting the response, which we will parse and then store it in res, and then we will populate a input field with the order ID. So we haven't created the input field for actually storing the value yet, although I have created it right here, but it is earlier than the input field itself. So we'll be creating it later. Razorpay text dot value is equal to res.sub.id. And if you got confused that what is this? So it is the input field right here, which we have given an ID of RZP text. So we'll be populating this input field with the order ID automatically to automate things. So the last thing we have done is specify that this is a post request to the URL that we have written right here, and this thing true specifies that the request that we are sending is asynchronous. So we'll be waiting for the actual response and not automatically render the data. So with that done, we have set the request header as a formality, and then we have sent the data in the form of string. All these data that we'll be needing to actually instantiate an order, create an order with the help of API. With that done, we have done the second part, the second field, that is we will be collecting the order ID here in this input field. And with that done, we have added a checkout button. While by clicking on this checkout button, we will be creating a checkout form, sending it to the Razorpay server with the help of API itself. And what this checkout form will be having is all these details like the Razorpay key, the currency, name, description, order ID, and this is the handler function. Once we successfully submit the checkout form, the next steps will be decided by this handler function. That's what we need to do. So we can actually set up a theme. You can also add an image if you want, a logo for your of your choice. If you want, if you need to add, you can add to it. And with that done, we can instantiate a Razorpay variable. With that, passing on the parameters, and with that done, the checkout is successfully completed. So after doing that, we'll be receiving all these data like Razorpay payment ID, Razorpay order ID, and the Razorpay signature which will be automatically populating in all those input fields which we have given these IDs like pay ID, order ID, and order signature, which you can find right here. Order ID, payment ID, and order signature. All these fields will be automatically populated once we successfully submit the checkout form. And with that done, we have all three credentials. Now what we can do is verify the signatures. So till the step right here, the payment is verified, but it is not captured yet. So what we need to do is create a button, give it an ID, a unique ID, so that we can refer to it and embed a function to it, that what we need to do when we click on it. So what we need to do is send a post request to actually verify the signatures. So what data we need to send is all these three credentials. So we have given it a special ID, and now we will be fetching in all the values and embedding it to the params, which will be sending it to the backend. With that done, we will be creating an XML HTTP request that we will be using for collecting the response, sending the post request, updating the DOM, and all those stuff. So once we get a response, the response which we'll be getting for the verification of signature is whether the signatures were successfully verified or not. So on the successful verification of the signature, we'll be getting a message that is success. So when we get a success message, we can alert the user with the response text that is success, or if if the signatures weren't successfully verified, it will alert the user as failure. So with that done, we send a post request to the URL, a asynchronous request, which I have told you why I have done this, because we will be waiting for the data to be fetched from the server, setting the request header and stringifying the params so that it can be used in the backend easily. That's all. That's all the code we have written in the payment.ejs file. That is the front end. Now, what we need to do is actually write these APIs for handling all those post requests, like this API slash payment verify and the API slash payment slash order. All those post requests, what we need to do, what data we need to pass, and what to pass in the front end, that we will be writing in the backend, that is in the app.js. One thing we also be writing is the API to actually render this template, that will be a get request, and other two will be a post request. So thank you for watching the first part of this video. In the second part, we'll be writing the backend of this payment gateway, the actual API part, and we'll be also checking through the payment Razorpay payment dashboard transaction table, that whether the transactions are successfully captured or not, verified or not. Through that, we can actually verify it. So thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, make sure to drop a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.